Everybody fucking move!
Fucking move, I'll show you fucking inside.
Get down! Down, motherfucker, down! No phone calls, bitch!
Did you know that in the US alone, the robbery rate has increased by at least 2%, and it might sound like a teeny tiny amount, but that's like 1,200 more robberies. Fortunately, some homeowners know how to fight back, and boy, do they fight back. So today, I've got the best moments of homeowners fighting back. There's even one who fought back with a machete. Let's gear up and get started. Number 1. When motion camera saves your life. These robbers thought they were about to win the lottery when they got ready to break into a house in Phoenix, Arizona. Still, the homeowner was no stranger to weirdos like them. As soon as he saw 4 people trying to break in through the door, he decided he wasn't going to let some misfits have the first move. He gets up, gets his weapon ready, and fires the shots before the robbers even have the chance to step foot into his abode. Imagine a homeowner there with no gun. Horrific outcome. Number 2. When the owner defends his house without even being at home. Then we have these 2 robbers who decided to rob a homeowner in broad daylight, and their modus operandi wasn't breaking in and entering. No. They wanted to be invited into the house by the owner himself, and to do that, they just rolled in with their bicycle as their escape vehicle. While these robbers are leisurely walking around as if they own the place and figuring out ways to break in, the homeowner, who isn't even at home, calls the cops without wasting a single second. Turns out these so-called robbers weren't that trained in their field, because just minutes later, 2 cops showed up to tell the owner that the robbers, who were now juveniles, were now in their custody. I know it's petty theft, but goodness, how I hope they got the book thrown at them. Imagine the audacity it takes to go into someone's property and steal their stuff. Number 3. Robbers try to target a guy who is a master at his game. It's 10 in the morning. The garage door opens up, and in comes a car. Everything looks pretty normal. Maybe someone's just coming home after a long night. That is until the passengers of the car start piling out, with at least a couple of them armed. They're ready to leave no valuable thing behind. They enter the living room, all rowdy and loud. One of them asks the others to go look at what's worthy to grab on the second floor. But what they don't know is that upstairs, there's a guy who's ready to go all out to protect his home. The homeowner had already heard the commotion and armed himself with a gun. And the armed robbers did try and take a few shots at the owner, but he wasn't there to play around. Keeping his own self safe, he took shelter and fired back. And boy, did he fire back. The robbers are in such a hurry that they leave at a loss. That's right, they left on foot, leaving their car behind. But that's not all. One of them even dropped his phone and a wallet before running away. And that's how you defend your house from weirdos. Number 4. Woman opens fire at intruders and ends up taking one down. This woman from Gwinnett County is a hero in every sense of the word. When 3 robbers entered her home, ready to wreak havoc with their guns loaded and intentions as clear as the day. Yeah, it was some stuff, or to be particular, cash to steal. But the only thing they were going to get was their match. While they were searching the house for some cash, with their guns aimed, the woman didn't waste a moment rushing out of a back room and firing back at the invaders. The best part is that this wasn't even her home. She was staying at a friend's house, but wasn't about to let anyone get away with anything. That's what I call a true friend. As they exchange fire with drywall debris, clouding the dark home, one man can be seen running through a glass door. The woman doesn't stop firing, and one of them even ends up losing the fight, not just for this robbery, but his life as well. The woman instantly called 911 and then was seen being consoled by a housemate who gently took away the gun. The ones who got away definitely learned that's what happens when you try to mess with the wrong person. Number 5. Man goes ham on the robbers. Hollywood style, the last thing you'd expect when chilling in your home late in the night is to be attacked by guys trying to break into your house with weapons. But that's the reality for these guys. Unfortunately, one of them has lightning-fast reflexes. As soon as he hears someone breaking in, he goes for the nearest thing, which happens to be a chair. When he realizes that's not enough to fight back, he goes ham on the invaders with a piece of wood, and using that as a defense weapon, he runs back into the house to grab a better weapon, which, unlike what I first thought, wasn't a gun. Until then, the other guy seems to try to defend himself by going on the ground. In the very next moment, Our hero comes back with a machete, and he has one guy he's targeting. It's the one aiming a shotgun at him. It's like the present versus past version of weapons going live. And it turns out the other two the AF companions aren't as loyal because they go bouncing like rabbits, trying to jump over the fence, leaving their friend behind. That's when the other resident, who was cowering in fear, gets an epiphany and decides to play the sidekick and defend the house with his friend. A dog and a female come to check out what's going on when you see our hero grabbing the robber with his collar and asking the other guy to do something. It turns out he was telling him to grab the invader's shotgun, and the lady to go call the cops to hand the culprit over. Talk about the ultimate mixture of quick thinking and survival tactics in one guy. Then he makes sure the shotgun is away from the robber's reach because he throws it in the house. What a guy! The cops managed to arrest all the 5 guys involved in the robbery, even the ones who were waiting outside the house. Number 6. 2 robbers break into a house thinking it's empty and get surprised by cops welcoming them. This set of robbers thought they were entering the house for robbery at the perfect time. The kids at school, parents on the jobs, and just a dog whom they could tempt to stay quiet with treats. But what they didn't know was the sound of glass breaking because of need of them entering through the window would be the cause for their mission's failure. One of the guys lets the other one in through the door. This sound activated the security cam and alerted the owner. The owner, Damien Gerard, who was at work mere minutes away and was looking at them going upstairs to look for stuff to steal. The owner decided to take the smarter route and call the cops instead of trying to fight them empty-handed. And even before he had reached home, the cops did, going up the stairs with their guns ready to fire and give the little thieves a hearty surprise. One of the robbers decided to jump out of the window, but was seen by the owner, who decided to chase him. And even that one was caught not far from the crime scene. Number 7. Woman gets followed by robbers to home, still manages to scare them away. This one didn't even let the robbers enter her home in the first place. The homeowner, Tyesha Alexander, was returning home after a night out at a bar when she noticed 2 women with their faces covered with masks approaching her front gate. And you can bet the masks weren't to save themselves from catching any COVID. Everything after this is captured on camera. Those 2 masked women walk up the stairs, and the homeowner is alarmed, because if they were residents, why was there no sound of a door closing? She doesn't waste a minute pulling her gun out, and you can see a 9mm pistol in her hand, loaded and ready when she walks up. That's when the robbers can be seen stomping down the stairs, and even though it can't be seen on the camera, the one in the green hoodie, who runs towards the woman up front, has a gun pointed at her. And when I tell you Tyesha fired back, she fired back. Even in the way shots are fired, you can tell that Tyesha is panicked, but she still doesn't stop firing. That's when both of the robbers make a beeline toward the stairs. One of the alleged suspects, Damika Malcolm, was taken into custody on felony, aggravated assault, armed robbery, and firearms charges. Number 8. Robbers find their death instead of money in the safe. Video plays stupid games and win stupid prizes. 2 robbers walk into a house's garage with their guns pointed at the homeowner. The owner calmly walks them to where his safe is, opens it, and makes them meet their maker. You see those flashes going off? They're guns. The safe didn't have any money, but what it did have was guns. Both of the robbers were shot dead. A happy ending. If every homeowner who was the victim of an armed robbery acted in this manner, we wouldn't have any residential burglaries. Number 9. Targeted robbery foiled. The driver of this black car is no ordinary person. It's an almost 75-year-old who is also a multimillionaire, driving back home from a bank with his stepson in the driver's seat. But they're not alone. Close behind them is a white car from where the robbers come piling out of the car with their guns pointed, ready to rob the senior citizen of everything he has on him. Luckily, or should I say smartly, this guy had not only his windows, but also his doors locked, so the robbers had no chance of forcing the door open. Instead of stopping, surrendering, and opening the door, the guy started his car and drove away. What a smart move to protect your home and family. You just know he didn't have that fortune passed down to him and worked hard to protect it. Number 10. Robbers come in with a bang and make a cartoony exit. 4 men armed themselves and picked a house in Bowling Green as their target. They make an entry with a kick to the main door, breaking it. What they don't know is that the owner had been waiting for this moment his entire life. The camera was on, his room dark, and the gun ready to fire. They only make it to the front hallway before the homeowner shoots at them. It almost makes you think that he knew they were coming. I wouldn't be surprised if they tripped an early warning system he set up prior to this. He was prepped and ready for them. All four men jump and run back out the door. And just like that, having a gun saved innocent lives. Number 11. Guy rocks the robber's world while in his red briefs. When you gotta save your bike, you gotta save your bike. A major part of having a really expensive heavy bike means having a really heavy defense system as well. And when this guy heard his alarms going off, he didn't bother putting on his pants. He went to his safe, grabbed his gun, and went after the guys loading his bike in a haul truck, making them scatter away in fear. One of the robbers runs on foot, while the other makes it to the truck, and they manage to run away. And honestly, the guy could have easily shot these robbers but chose not to. At least his bike is safe. He really is the Superman without an undersuit. And just so there is no confusion, it really was underwear, not a thong. The guy said it himself. Number 12. The doorbell cam helps the owner not let the robbers in. Two guys who couldn't look more like robbers even if they tried were knocking on the door of an East Ulgrove Street home. The homeowner is watching the scene from inside the home. The guys with their hoods on their heads and bandanas on their faces are knocking innocently, as if they were there to distribute some Girl Scout cookies. If you look closely, you can see a chrome revolver in the hands of one of the guys, while his partner has brass knuckles on his right hand and a tire iron in the other. You just know that the owner would have been knocked out cold when he opened the door. Luckily, the resident had seen these suspects up to no good and called the cops. One of them senses that they're getting nothing after they've been around for a minute, so he shakes his head at his crime partner, and out they go in their white panel van before the cops arrive. Lessons learned? Never open the door to someone that says, yo. Lesson number 2 is to uncondition yourself, just like this owner, to not open your door so as not to be rude, and you might just save your life. Number 13. Robbers seal their fate by closing the garage door of the wrong guy's house. This one takes us to Argentina, where a cop is just coming home after a nice day out with his family. But things take a wild turn. As soon as he comes home, he's welcomed by a whole bunch of his pets who look like they haven't seen their owner for a whole 15 minutes. You know how dogs are. Anyways, the guy looks like he's off duty, steps out of his car to get the pets out of the way, and then goes back to park his car inside the door. But the pets aren't the only ones following him inside. So are around 3 robbers. One of them, who is probably their leader, looks really aggressive and makes his second mistake, pointing a gun at the cop. Really? Dumb move. But the cop looks like he wants to just relax and puts his hands up. I can just hear the cop thinking, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. What the robber and his little minions didn't know was that closing the garage doors was the absolutely wrong move, because now the cop had no danger of a civilian getting harmed, and he turned his duty mode on. Immediately snatching the robber's gun and disarming him, the guy pulls his own out and goes ham on the intruders. And thankfully, no innocent civilian was hurt that day. Scumbags. 3 of them did. 2 of them would never get to see the day of the light again, while the third one would only get to see white walls. First, to the hospital to treat the really bad injuries he got, and then to jail. Number 14. Homeowner welcomes intruders with flying bullets. Then we have 3 rowdy men filled with overconfidence who targeted a man in Florida. The group of these 3 idiots pushed their way to the front door of the homeowner. 2 of them pushed the victim into the house, attacked him, and made him drop his pistol. The third one can be seen standing outside, looking all smug while pulling a gun from his pants. But the owner, not one to give up, ran to the back of his house and grabbed an AR-17. That's when the owner started firing back, making these kids run like chickens. These robbers ran away in a car where another partner of theirs was waiting for them. Oh, and fun fact, when 2 of them got caught, one had the audacity to plead not guilty. Can you imagine? This owner could use a lesson from the last one and not open the door for a complete stranger who isn't there for any business. Number 15. The intruder kicks the door to his own life. This 54-year-old man kept kicking the door, clearly angry, and he wasn't doing it to steal cash or gold, but something even more valuable, a life, the life of his own children's mother. He kept kicking on the door until he managed to break in. From there, he got his hands on a knife and threatened the victim. But the homeowner wasn't empty-handed, and in an act of self-defense, she fired a couple of shots that ended up taking the life of this intruder. And I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised to know this criminal had an active domestic violence injunction filed on him and was even on his way to some anger management classes, which, as you can see clearly, wasn't working. Number 16. Robbers target a guy who would die for his family. This mid-city man was on his way home after grabbing a cup of tea on a Saturday night. Instead of peacefully going to sleep, he had to fight off some robbers. As soon as the guy walks up to his door and is about to grab his keys, he hears someone run up to him. He turns around, and the intruder is standing with a gun pointed at him. The bravery of this guy is no joke. He had a gun to his back and still turned around and charged at them. That's the confidence and urgency of someone with a family to protect. The owner doesn't waste a moment, drops his cup of tea, and starts firing shots to defend himself. The owner said that if he lived alone, he probably wouldn't have fought back as hard. But he had his wife and a baby who was just months old in there. It's no wonder he chased those intruders until one fired back. But that too, while he was trying to bunny hop over a fence. The other one was copying his partner, but over the main gate. A man with a family to protect is one you don't want to mess around with. Number 17. The correct way to open the door to robbers, with bullets. 3 robbers tried to cosplay as police officers to enter a house, but failed terribly as their weapons and masks gave them away. As they approached the door, from the get-go, they looked violent, up to no good. They begin kicking the door and announce themselves as Seattle police. One of them tried to kick the door down with his shoulders. Thinking smart, the owners kept their doors dead-bolted, giving the owner enough time to grab his gun and fire back. A shootout started. Unfortunately, the robbers escaped unharmed, and the only damage was to the fences and the doors. Number 18. The veteran shows the burglars who is the boss. A group of burglars randomly selected a house, but didn't know they had chosen the wrong one. The owner had literally fought in the war, so a group of criminals with guns were nothing more than kids for him. The owner had somehow caught an unusual activity on his security camera. Some men, around 3 of them, ran into his neighbor's front yard and then to his lawn. With a weapon in hand, one of them took shelter behind the veteran's car. That's when the owner decides it was time for a showdown. He doesn't care about being dressed, but he goes ahead, grabs his gun, and heads outside. He fires without a care in the world about his car and targets the guy directly. But he's not nearly done. He goes back in, puts his clothes on, comes back and starts firing again. It's safe to say there was no robbery that night, and it's all thanks to this man who wouldn't let his wife get hurt at any cost. Number 19. Robber with a grinder, scared of getting caught on camera. Then we have another idiot trying to take what doesn't belong to him, and this one is outrageous. He goes ahead and uses a grinder to cut a hurricane glass and tries to get into the house. What did he think was going to happen? The owner sleeping through the noise. But luckily, they saw what was going on through their security camera, and the guy warned the intruder through his phone. And this guy just walks away like he was doing nothing criminal. The audacity? I'm honestly just surprised at how polite the homeowner sounds when he's trying to confront a literal invader. Number 20. Even lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, but this robber does. This guy had been targeting the area quite a lot of times, and he came back again to steal from a house. But a person who had already lost some of his things at this guy's expense decides he won't let him mess around this time. So he came back to his house, grabbed a gun, and decided to hold the robber at gunpoint and made him lie down on the ground until the cops arrived and took over the situation for him. You can just tell the guy had been dreaming of this since his stuff was stolen. This entire video is just proof that the moment a robber decides to steal someone's property, enter their home, and point a gun at them, he's just giving all the rights to his life away to the owner. Honestly, what would you expect someone to do? Let their stuff go with a smiley face. In this economy? So, I say most of it was pretty deserved. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, hit the like and subscribe buttons because trust me, this channel only features the most interesting stuff. Thank you for watching. See you next time.